College Football 26 is really not that far away, and we're getting a lot of information just a couple weeks ahead of launch. So I watched the new gameplay deep dive trailer. I wanted to go over that along with the new gameplay deep dive article that EA posted. I'm going to go through and summarize a lot of this stuff to see what's coming to the game this year. They're going to be dropping a Dynasty trailer and article next week. I'll be covering that as well. I'm really interested in what they do because I feel like with the return of College Football 25, it was a gameplay first emphasis. And you know what? I kind of think it was the right idea. I felt like CFB 25 played better than really any Madden I've ever played, and it's held my interest for many hours, many seasons, all the way to now. I'm hoping that we get some good depth in Dynasty, but let's go to gameplay and see what they're trying to build upon what I believe was a pretty good start to the reintroduction of this series. I've noticed there's a lot of parity this year with Madden getting a lot of these same features, some of which I talked about just a few days ago in Madden's version of this trailer and article. So dynamic subs are going to be a new really useful feature. I've wanted something like this for a long time. So we're now going to be able to manage the roster in real time and adjust the substitutions for these formations. And if they're going to get more serious this year with wear and tear, something like this was definitely needed. All you have to do is press up on the D-pad and then cycle players in and out by tapping left or right on the D-pad, so it should be nice and quick. They also have some filters that are going to streamline certain batch substitutions. For instance, you can quickly adjust the entire linebacking core or defensive line, or on offense you can cycle the skill players or the O-line. And there's also a reset to starters option with it. We're going to have an idea of each player's specific wear and tear, and that pip indicator will show you kind of the status of all the players. One thing I definitely didn't expect to see was wear and tear auto sub sliders. They showed that off in the trailer. So we're going to have a lot of control over this feature. And I think that it's good they did this because not everybody's going to like a more hardcore, realistic wear and tear system. And I felt like in its first iteration in CFB 25, they kept it really simple so it wouldn't overwhelm players. But you're going to have options here for how you're going to manage situations when wear and tear is affecting players. Are you going to keep it default? Are you going to focus on playing fresh players and just taking players out who are experiencing wear and tear? That was usually my focus in my dynasty. Or you can grind it out and have players push through that pain and risk further injury. So we're going to have a lot of options here for how to manage each specific position and what those thresholds are going to be for taking players out and everything. It's probably going to take some getting used to, but I'm happy to have some more options here to customize play. On top of that, though, we actually have control over how much wear and tear is actually applied based on all kinds of hits, blocks, sacks, everything. So this is going to take some, testing and messing around with, but if you want to make like hit sticks and certain hits like much more impactful when it comes to wear and tear, you're going to have that ability now. And I think as a dynasty player and somebody who wants to see like long-term roster management and difficult decisions, like this is a huge thing for a player like me. You also get to control the recovery from wear and tear, which I think in CFB 25, it was far too quick in most instances. There are going to be weather-based modifiers that also impact wear and tear. And then we're also going to see, in some cases, animations that show when a player is dealing with an injury. They showed that off in the trailer, so you'll have some visual continuity there that I think will be nice. So every player in the game has a toughness rating, and last year it determined how much damage a player takes to a specific body part after contact. Now in this game, toughness is also going to affect how quickly they heal and their recovery. So that rating will now deserve a bit more attention. Next up, we're talking abilities and archetypes, and they are expanding the archetypes in this game. There are going to be 10 new ones. We're going to find out more about this in the Dynasty Deep Dive, but this screenshot shows us a player who does have East-West Playmaker as a new archetype in-game. They also mentioned that now when it comes to abilities, there's going to be a special Heisman tier. So when a player's playing well and they already have a Platinum tier ability, it's going to automatically upgrade to the new Heisman tier with enhanced effects, and it's kind of a way of having these players have the chance to take over a game, make a big play. We also have some new abilities in the game, and I believe 84 abilities now in total. Some new ones include Battering Ram, which is going to be an ability for ball carriers, increasing levels of wear and tear on defenders. Now imagine I had that with DeMarco Lecumbo. And then we have the Hammer ability, which when you reach the Heisman tier, you're going to have an increased chance of forcing fumbles on perfect hit sticks. With the abilities, the physical abilities specifically, they are categorized now into upper or lower body. And as wear and tear accumulates throughout the year, they can actually lose up to 2 tiers on that ability, which I think is a nice touch to making wear and tear more of an impactful mechanic. I thought they did a great job with the playbooks last year. I still, whenever I go through new formations, I'm finding plays I'd love to call. There's just so much variety and so many fun passing concepts, and there are 2,800 new plays in this game, 45 new formations, and there were already a ton of formations in the game. But they're also going to have 300 real head coaches in the game this time around, so that's a fun change here for College Football 26. So I'm guessing then it's going to be head coaches and then a bunch of coordinators, because there aren't 300 Division I FBS teams. There are, like 130 or something like that. So I imagine we have a lot of real coordinators now in the game. So here we have this trick formation from Penn State with 3 blockers here with a receiver on this side and still 4 down linemen. Really unique look. Don't see this one often. So we're going to have a lot of new formations like this and different things that were on display last year in college football. We got some new plays like Jet Power Read Toss, Counter Bash. These are concepts popularized by K-State and Jacksonville State. Then we're going to have some new motion types, Reload, Bounce, Escort, and Boomerang. Even plays that have double motion, which has never been possible in past games. Usually if a play has built-in option, you can't do any other motion pre-snap, but also if you move one player, you're not able to move a second player. But we're going to be able to move multiple players pre-snap now. Expanded QB run and RPO variety. We have smarter option routes, which I don't usually trust receivers running option routes. They do the wrong thing all the time. We'll see if they're better at reading leverage and finding those soft spots. Just like Madden, the gadget depth chart slot is coming into this game. So you're going to be able to assign a player who can line up at a variety of positions and treat that player like the gadget player he is. Some of those unique, bizarre formations that were on display that are going to be in the game include the Penn State Shotgun Gate, the Swinging Gate variants, Ole Miss Wildcat Deuce Wing, Rice Pistol Wingback. I can't wait to check this stuff out. The playbooks, I think, were already good last year, and I'm excited to see new stuff. We also got some information in the Madden Deep Dive that they're going to make height matter more at quarterback. So with this field vision mechanic, you're going to see certain players who are out of that quarterback's view because of linemen in their way. Those icons are going to start disappearing, and I'm not sure what that's going to be like to play with a shorter quarterback if suddenly you're going to feel like there's a big disconnect because you're seeing something, but the icon disappears because of where your quarterback is. You're still going to be able to attempt throws to players whose icon disappears, but there's going to be an accuracy penalty. And if you're, during a play and you're following a route, chances are what the icon is, but seeing it disappear might throw you off a little bit, but you can still try the throw to that player. Now, here's how they're differentiating quarterback skill in this game. So they felt that the lower rated quarterbacks were more successful than they wanted. So high awareness quarterbacks will quickly and efficiently cycle through multiple receiving options. They talked about kind of an AI that goes through reads in the Madden deep dive, and that the awareness rating is going to handle the speed they do that. I like that there's been an emphasis on making certain ratings a little more important in this game with real on-field effects. The awareness skill is also going to help quarterbacks identify hot reads when there is quick option and they need to get the ball out quick. With higher awareness quarterbacks, they're going to get to those hot reads much faster, so they'll be a little bit tougher to blitz. So they want to emphasize the defensive side of the game now, as we had some physics-based technology that was introduced to Madden 25's tackling system, and then they wanted to make the defense in this game much more physical and visceral. So we're expecting to see more variety in tackle outcomes with glancing blows, squared up stops, falling forward momentum. We have new tackle types like wrap catch tackles, where DBs who aren't big hitters are going to have the ability to wrap receivers up securely at the catch point. There are going to be some more lunging tackles and then unprepped hit sticks. These are going to be explosive animations, especially for when the ball carrier is caught off guard by a hit they probably aren't facing. The timing and aiming mechanics from last year's hit stick are expanded to all one-on-one scenarios, including strips, cuts, lunges, wraps, swat catch tackles, and wrap catch tackles. They talked about this being in Madden as well, along with the timing mechanics for truck and stiff arm. We're going to have hit stick catch tackles. And then they talk about with quarterback hits that they're making improvements so that there's more realistic arm positioning during the sack. I think trying to get away from some of those throws where it's like, how did that guy get that pass off? He was supposed to, he's getting sacked and he threw a perfect ball. And there's going to be some more balance with those throws that are at the last possible moment where there's still a perfect throw. We should see, hopefully, more bad passes in those instances or sacks being taken. Stunts and twists are going to be in the game. This is also coming to Madden. Really excited to have some more options for pass rushing, and I think it makes the ability of guards to handle athleticism a little more critical. And against some of those less athletic guards, it'll be fun to throw some stunts at them and see if they can handle some of those more athletic rushers in their face. And what's going to be cool is these aren't just baked into a handful of plays. So at the play call screen, you're going to hold the button for that play to open a sub menu showing you the options you have for stunts and twists, because you have like TE stunts, interior twists, and other options. So you can really customize the way you're going to attack the quarterback. There are actually 12 unique stunt types. Block steering has been a talking point. We're going to see those animations play out where the defender can help steer a block in a certain direction so that even if they are blocked, they still have a chance to maybe positively impact the play with like forcing a cutback or something. I really want to see how this works, especially on the interior. I feel like in CFB, you have all these spread out offenses and you end up with a lot of light boxes. And I felt for so long in these games, whether it's CFB or Madden, that it is just so difficult to clog any of those interior lanes. And yeah, that's the idea when you get defenders out of the box and you have less defenders there, but I felt like there just wasn't enough options for those defensive linemen to really put up a good fight. So if you're going to control defensive linemen, you can press the right trigger and left stick to start steering. And based on player strength, weight, ratings like block shed, run blocked, impact block, you're going to be able to move that engagement. Hopefully this can be the year of the nose tackle. We have improvements to block targeting. We'll see how it works. There are certain concepts in every game I tend to go away from, but some new ones with improvements: power, counter, trap, wham, duo, veer, and midline concepts. I feel like a lot of us have just started running mostly zone because it's simpler, more predictable, whereas a pulling guard who doesn't do his job can completely wreck a play. We have the ability to untarget defenders now. Before the play, you can assign a player to be ignored by the offensive line. They're going to be a free rusher, but maybe given the type of play you're running or the alignment that defense has, maybe a certain player can not be accounted for. Then we're going to have some new slide protections with half and full slides to both the left and the right. This year, we're going to have custom zones that allow you to adjust the depth of where those zones are going to be covering. You can make some of them a little bit deeper. You can have your deep zones play really deep or maybe even a little more shallow. And I'm excited to have the chance to mess with that. With the secondary now, we're going to have the option to route commit. In pre-play, press R1, then left or right on the left stick, and your entire coverage unit will aggressively break towards either inside or outside breaking routes. This is going to be great, primarily for me. I think about the last 2 minutes and maybe a team's out of timeouts. I want to sit on those outbreaking routes. There are situations where what the offense is going to do is a little more predictable. And I think if they do this right, maybe in certain situations you can trust some more one-on-one coverage, and maybe you can get aggressive with blitzing because you can sit on something you have a good feeling they're going to do. So it's going to be a risk-reward mechanic, and if you're wrong, then you're probably going to get destroyed, but that's why it's there. With route commit leading the charge, we knew man coverage needed to feel tighter. Yes, man coverage definitely needs to be competitive in these games. It's one of those first things I look at with any new football game. How well does man-to-man actually hold up, especially with good players? And I think it's really important that you're able to visualize and trust the way leverage is. So when the DBs, are aligned more to the outside of the receiver and they still get beat on the outside, doesn't usually feel very good. So you're able to align with an inside or outside shade, which I think can also kind of be coupled with that route commit option. Maybe you don't want to commit to a route, but you still want to shade to the outside or something. I think it's a good game of rock, paper, scissors to give us all these options in the secondary, and I think that'll be a nice boost to this year's game. Yeah, I definitely think that there have been too many interceptions that, the defender realistically wouldn't have been able to see the ball, and especially on some of these deep balls where they're just sprinting downfield and suddenly, make the Willie Mays interceptions. That is very well put. So now when the DB doesn't have eyes on the ball, he's not going to make those kinds of plays. And if done well, I said this in the Madden video, I think that it's a bit of a game changer if you want to take some 50-50 shots that have hopefully less likelihood to get intercepted. So we'll have to throw some deep balls when the game comes out and see if there are any interceptions that feel like they're a bit off. Too many wide open interceptions fell incomplete last year, so these no doubt interceptions will be caught a lot more often, it sounds like, in this game. So now we have some defensive playbook updates. We have some new formations like 3-4 tight, 3-3-5 flex. You got the nickel single mug and then the 2-4 single mug, so just one linebacker then in the A gap. I'll be a fan of that. They talk about nickel 2-4 loads, so you're going to have your two edge rushers there in 2-point stances, so they're going to be standing. We are going to have some new plays that by default have stunts, but we're going to have the ability to adjust those line calls there at the play call screen. So here are some of the options then. Some of these new formations seem to be added in to specifically bring in some of these stunts by default. We should see some improvements to the overall run fit with gap discipline and hopefully a more consistent experience seeing players cover the right spots. Linebackers and safeties fit the run now much more aggressively. A lot of this was talked about in the Madden Deep Dives, so we'll see how close the games play this year. It feels like there's an emphasis to create some gameplay parity. There are updates to how defense is going to defend the RPO, and depending on which gap a player is meant to be covering, they're going to have new rules that hopefully create better sound defense. I'm excited about this coach setting for safety adjustments now. So you're going to have some control over the depth, width, and position your safeties are in. You can have them play close in the box, good for run fit or tight red zone looks. There's the default option, deep, prevent, that's going to be way back, and then their width, default, spread, wide, and pinch. And then you can also adjust the midpoint, which is going to be nice given how wide the hashes are and how wild some of these alignments can be. You need the ability to really have these safeties in the right spots, told to do specific things, so this is definitely more in depth. You're going to have a coaching adjustment option now to decide how your AI defenders handle zone read, peek, and RPOs, if they're going to play the run or the pass first. Oh, I like this. Show blitz linebackers only. So instead of crowding the line and bringing everybody down, you can show blitz with just linebackers and the safeties won't be moving around. This next part talks about their real-time coaching updates, and I'm excited to see this. They're talking about delayed shifts, so defense will come out and show you a look, and then late, before the ball is snapped, they'll switch their look and move players around. That's something we see all the time across all levels of football these days. And then this is something that I really hope is done well, but kind of adapting to what you're doing. And if you're grinding out some of the run, then they might end up stacking the box a bit more and adjusting the alignment or bringing pressure in certain instances. We have some more little things here they threw into this section, including pursuit being tuned. We'll see how some of that downhill run defense from the secondary is. Led to a lot of big plays, but part of that, we see a lot of bad pursuit angles in college football. Sometimes in game it feels a little ridiculous. QBs getting out of the fake earlier in play action. Double move improvements, more bat down attempts from pass rushers. And then we have some evolutions when it comes to home field advantage. Nighttime and rivalry modifiers add an extra edge to schools ranked in the toughest places to play. Now when you're on the road under the lights, it's a different kind of chaos. Away quarterbacks will struggle managing the clock, just like we've seen with visiting quarterbacks in the swamp. They showed this in the trailer with the play clock actually going in and out. Expect more false starts, more broken communication, composure breakdowns. In 25, it was tough to call hot routes when you were on the road in these games, and they've tuned it now, so it's based on receiver distance from the quarterback. There were so many times I would tell my running back to block, and he could not hear me, and just went out into the pass pattern instead. So hopefully it's a little bit easier to just talk to the guy next to you. But then as the road team, they're giving you a little bit of a way to fight back, so if you pull off a big play of 20 plus yards resulting in a first down, you'll temporarily quiet the stadium and pause home field advantage effects. And next we're on to the kicking game. This year we've overhauled the pressure kicking experience in hostile environments, especially during night games and rivalry games. The accuracy meter will become completely transparent, the ball will fade out as your kicker lines up, and the power meter fills white, reducing visual feedback. All right, that's going to bring us to the end of this deep dive article. I think there were some good things talked about here, and like I said, I really enjoyed playing College Football 25. I feel like it was a really good foundation for this series comeback. And then to get some improvements this year, like the wear and tear, all the stuff with defensive alignment. I'm excited to check out, how different this game feels. I haven't had a chance to play the game in any way, so I've just been playing 25 this whole time. Let me know down below what your favorite change for this year would have to be. For me, it's a real toss-up between the ability of control we're going to have over wear and tear, and then just the whole secondary package with controlling, route commit, shades, safety alignment, all stuff I've just wanted to be able to do when there's something specific I want. Hopefully now it's little bit easier to set up your defense for some of these exotic and crazy offenses. But thanks for watching the video, everybody. That's it for me today. I know a lot of you are waiting on to see what else is going to come in the Buffalo Dynasty, and I've been playing games. I'm working on some stuff. I'm going to do my best to get this out as quickly as I can to continue the final bit of the Buffalo Dynasty. We should have something here this coming week. But I'm also going to be talking about Dynasty and College Football 26. That deep dive is coming out, it looks like, on Tuesday. So I'll definitely be covering it then. Thank you all for watching today's video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, and I will catch you in the next video.